I'm getting all set up. Looks like I might be almost live here. Welcome. Let's take a couple minutes to make sure that this gets up and people get notified that I am live. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Oh, there we go. Wonderful day. Oh, there we go. I'm getting some. Oh, there we go. Wonderful. How many windows do I have open? Okay, here's another one here. Do I have open? Perfect. There we go. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. My name is Julianne Duffy. I'm the content creator of Breathe Within Yoga. And one of my favorite things to do is to pull some cards. So today, I'm going to get this all balanced out here. Today I wanted to pull some cards for everybody. You know, if you have a question that you've been looking for an answer to, that is what I'm here to offer. Some guidance, some insight, and give some clarity. So I hope that you are ready, and let's go in it. I wanted to try it out this way. Let's pull out a card. I'm going to be using for today the Wisdom of Oracle cards by Colette Baron Reed. These are some of my absolute favorite cards to use and do readings from. I really resonate with them. And I did do a card pullings for 2025 for every astrological sign using these cards as well. So if you haven't taken a look, I do have a playlist with all of these cards on it, as well as they're up here on YouTube, and they are also in my description under mupo.com. I'm a content creator there, and they are also found there. Hi, Mind Mystic. I hope you're having a beautiful morning. Do you have any questions for me? I can start. I'll just start shuffling the cards here. I'll pull, maybe something on where are we here as the greater consciousness. We're coming into a new transition, Pisces, and I believe Jupiter. Don't get me wrong if I'm wrong about that. I'm not an astrologer per se. I do really love astrology. But let's see, I'll pull a quick card until I get some questions. So if you have a question about something going on in life right now, something going on in your own personal life, you don't have to give me too many details. I will pull you a message. But let's get a quick reading. I'm going to shuffle the cards here and find out where are we sitting as a collective consciousness, as a collective right now. We're looking at July. I wish we were in July. January 11th. Okay, I will pull that for you, Mind Mystic, right after. Let's see where we are overall. And don't mind the scratching in the background. That is, if you've been watching my shorts, that's Biddy playing with a bone. Okay, let's see. Where are we? The collective. Let's see. What is our message? Truth be told. Oh, that's a wonderful card. So we are sitting right here in a moment that truth is coming forward. So this seems quite appropriate. 2025 thus far. I saw the best meme, and it was like, how's this year been going? And it's like, we're still in January, and the stuff that's coming out is absolutely, it's been very interesting. You can't say that this has been a boring year this far, right? So with the truth be told, it is really about everything coming out, like all the things that maybe have been hidden from our consciousness, and the honesty of what is real in this reality right now, accepting things at our face value, coming out of denial. That is part of this message with the truth be told, that we have maybe been kind of putting on that mask, denying how this reality is really working, and it's changing. We're being thrown full on, like face planting into the truth is how I feel this comes out. Clarity, truth, transparency. That is really where we're sitting as a whole, as humanity. And that is what this you can see is all about. Hello, super glitches to anything you would like about, any questions, type them in the chat and I will pull for you. And thank you so much for subscribing. So let's get to the first question, because seems quite appropriate. We are sitting in Truth Be Told, truth, transparency, and integrity. But let's go to the first question from Mind Mystic. How will her YouTube channel be for 2025? And as I mentioned, we are using these Wisdom of Oracle cards. So let's find out, how will Mind Mystic's YouTube channel go for this year? So let's do a quick poll, find out, get some intuitive insight. How will her website, or him, I'm assuming it's her based on the character, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, how is the website or the YouTube going to go for this year? This is the message. Mending. Interesting. So this is a lot of like connecting together, putting things and pieces all towards connecting. That's, like when you're going with the mending, that's what you're doing. You're connecting things, you're fixing things, you're healing. And so with yourself, might be a really good time for your channel, that your channel is going to be really about helping other people, mending other people. That's what I'm getting for this, is that, you might make some mistakes along the way as you go forward this year with this channel. But if you want it really badly, you don't want to be chasing after shiny things. You want to have it sustainable. So sometimes you make choices that look good at first, but may lead to some hurt, something that you didn't maybe like as much. But you start again wiser and more mature. The journey of true abundance is bumpy. And along those ways, let go and learn that, prosperity will really fulfill itself and that nothing is ever lost. So let's get a little more guidance. So if this is really about connecting things, being open, maybe transitioning some of the what your content is, but let's get some more insight just to kind of clarify what that means. My dogs are so noisy right now. We've got Max. That was him scratching himself right there, because he normally doesn't even scratch himself, and that was loud. And we have Biddy rolling on the floor with his bone. But let's get some more clarity. So what else does this bring with your channel here, Mind Mystics? Let's get another poll here. Regeneration. Oh, that seems kind of appropriate with the mending. So I feel like there's a lot of, you're kind of going through a transition of what your content is. So you're building it. You've got to mend kind of, so you got more healing in your contact. I don't know if that even makes any sense. And then you've got regeneration. So this card is going to come up from the, this is like a card coming up from the flames. This would have been, looks kind of like a lava, or, like the fire had happened and the tree is coming out of it and regenerating it. So you've got a lot of growth to do, and it's very positive. And it's really about rebirth, second chances, and new opportunities. So your channel is going to go through some new opportunities, some rebirthing, and is going to regenerate, and it's going to definitely come into abundance through that regeneration process. So this one is, what happens when it appears you failed something? So I think that maybe is what it's going to feel like. It may feel like right now you're stuck, you've been mending together, it doesn't feel like it's going as quickly as you'd like it to go, and but when you're working on it, you're going to see the beauty, and it's going to come back and germinate into something better. It is becoming apparent that there is more that's new for you and new to start, and a powerful version of, you're going to start to plant something even more powerful and even better than it's already been. There's going to be lots of more new opportunities, better than those that before. It's almost like there's maybe gifts are going to be coming for your channel, Mind Mystic. So do not dwell on the past, because you really are experiencing a rebirth. So I feel like this is kind of telling us that we've been in the past. Maybe there's been some struggles on the channel, mending, going through a lot of changes. And in the end, you're going through, at this point, a regeneration and a rebirth of the channel. And it's going to come out even better than you can imagine. It's going to just expand and grow and become bigger than life. That is how I'm seeing that. So I hope that kind of answers your question, because that's really what I'm getting with the feeling here. You know, maybe you've been putting different things together, mending them, building them, creating them. But right now is like this time of rebirth, and something great is happening with your channel. So I wish you all the best, Mind Mystic. That's awesome. I'm really happy for you. Your channel's gonna take off even more, and is gonna be stronger, and people are gonna love it even more. So let's continue. You know, is there any more questions? I'd love some more questions. I'm practicing pulling for anybody that has anything they'd like to know about. Let's see. Why don't we now go into some of the things that are happening here as I'm waiting for some more questions. So if let's go. A lot of people have been wondering about the really kind of sad, the fires that have been happening in California, right? There's all these fires, and let's just go into what will be the outcome. How are people going to be? What is the outcome of how everyone's going to be, you know, at the end of these? Will this be a rebirth? Will this be a lot of the truth, like we pulled with you know, where we're going? What is the outcome of these fires here going on in California? Just because that's something that's been all over. Get a little message here. TikTok. So this card is really about divine timing, and about things happening within the time that you know, and trust. It's a trust of the divine timing, and that maybe time isn't always the way we see it, because it really is a man-made thing. Divine timing, immeasurable time, timelessness is what this talks about. Okay, Biddy, can you just take your bone and chew it instead of rolling it across the floor? I'm sorry about that. I guess that's what happens when you go live. You've always got some, you know, especially when you have a bunch of crazy dogs. So this one, when we go deep into this divine timing, so I'm going to say right off the bat that this fire was really about a divine timing. So whatever's coming out of it is divinely supported. It's going to give us something probably related to the first message pulled earlier, which was about truth. And this one talks about, especially like we go on the protection side, have you been feeling as if the clock is ticking and gotten a little nervous of your dreams are taking too long to manifest? There is nothing to fear. You will never run out of time, and that is an important thing. So this is us again trusting that we're going to get this truth. We're not going to run out of time. It will end. All things do come to an end, and miracles will happen. And you know, the guides and the angels are supporting humanity during this time. So we have to really, really dive into that idea, and that knowing that spirit will never deny us and will never deny our highest good, and that the divine timing is always appropriate. So I know there was a lot of people that were predicting these things, saying this was bound to happen. And sometimes this happens for the divine timing to add to this time where there's a lot of truth to happen. So all what we do, it's advising us to relax. That, you know, I know even with this, there's always some pain. You know, lots of people have lost houses and items, and unfortunately, you know, pets, and there has been a few people that have not made it through this time. And that we have to come down to a point where we believe and understand that the divine, it was their time as well, whether we like it or not. You know, the divine has a bigger plan for us, and this, I feel, is very much related to the truth coming out. Was this fire, you know, there's so many questions with this fire. There's a lot of questions. You know, like, was it started purposely? Are these really real fires? You know, and people being hurt when we're in these lies is unfortunate, right? Very unfortunate. But we have to remember that it was never in vain, that there's something for us to learn from through that, right? And you know, is this a land grab? You know, there's a lot of people saying that their insurance conveniently before these fires where they were told that they no longer had fire insurance, right? So maybe this is that divine timing to tell the truth, that there's so many broken things in the system, so many broken things, that we have to start looking at alternatives, and the divine has got our back, but it is time for us to really see the truth, like I pulled at the beginning. But we'll pull another card to see if we can get a little more detail. So these fires are really on divine timing. And what else can we find out? What else is related to this that the guides would like to give us more information about? Peace. The outcome is going to be that we are going to find our peace, because once we get the truth, we trust the divine timing, there will be that, again, it's that peace, that inner peace, that inner knowing, coming to those points in our life, right? And you know, we are going to find peace that we won't be attaching. It's a disattachment to things. This is when it really talks about freedom from attachment, radical acceptance. So accepting the things that we may not be able to accept outside of ourselves, right? And it talks about freedom from want and the soul satisfaction. So maybe this is a lot of that, you know, a lot of those places were extremely ridiculously huge houses owned by, you know, not saying these people didn't deserve these things, but is that really a balance? And, you know, do we need to detach from the materialistic things and detach from systems we thought were there to support us? You know, it's kind of just weird coincidences when, you know, you talk about all these things related to it, that, you know, the fire hydrants weren't working or weren't turned on, right? And in the outcome of this is that we are going to find that peace as humanity as we start to detach from those things that don't create value. And you know, it's going to be better for us. It is definitely going to be better for us. But through that transition, sometimes there is loss. There's always that feeling of loss we have to come to terms with, have to let go of as we go through these processes. You know, harmony will come from the end. We are going to come into a harmonious understanding. And I feel like this is going to definitely empower humanity much more. As I pulled from the beginning, we are going through a truth time. So divine timing, finding that peace and that acceptance. And it may not be something we necessarily really want to accept, but by accepting it, we can find that peace and start to make different changes. And that's where you get that beauty of the peace from, is when we can let go of the things the things that aren't supporting us, right? And Lulu Pie, I'm glad you're finding this interesting. You know, I love pulling cards, and I do find the messages are usually quite appropriate. And the more you kind of dig into them, the more they can really give you more guidance to where you're going. And if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. I would love to answer any questions. You don't have to be too personal. They can be very open. They can be about something going on right now, something in your own personal life. I would love to answer anything if there is any questions you do have. So it really talks about that. You know, we're at a time that there will be well-being in spite of the temporary conditions. And that's what the peace also comes to, is that in the end, no matter what's happening, people are gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna put in better structures and better things in place, especially for those places that can have these fires, you know, whether they are wildfires or not, you know, not to get into conspiratorial stuff, but whatever these, you know, we're going to find the truth. We're going to come to the acceptance of it, and we're going to be able to place in better outcomings. Will 2025 be fun? Well, we know it's about truth. So let's find out if it's going to be fun going through this truth. Let's do that, Lulu. I think it's a great question. Will 2025 be fun? It's been interesting for sure. And, you know, some people, maybe it's been a little more fun than for others. Okay, is 2025 going to be fun? Let's see. This is what I'm feeling. The Observer Interesting. So this one, of course, is all about, it's kind of ironic because I've been teaching classes, and in my classes we were really focusing on becoming the observer. That's the person that is not being emotionally drawn into the situation, but able to actually see from a higher perspective, be able to kind of get a better idea of the things without getting drawn into the nitty gritty. So what it talks about with this message, it is perspective. So if this year is going to be fun, is going to be based on your observation. It's going to be your perspective of whether you're going to see this year as being fun or not. Objectivity, and then that neutral observation from a distance. So again, very much looking from that higher perspective. So I feel like this year will definitely be fun for a lot of people, especially people that are ready to see dramatic change, because that has come up many times in a lot of the readings that I've pulled. And from things that I'm hearing from astrology, there's going to be a lot of change. And if you are ready to take that roller coaster ride and you love that change and you love seeing truth come out, it is, and you're going to see it from that perspective, that perspective of, this is awesome. Yeah, let's see that person be arrested, or let's see the truth of how these fires started and get things done properly so we don't have to have these things happen again. Because I really don't believe that they should happen the way they're happening. We have tools, we have technology, we have the knowledge that these type of things don't need to really happen. But there's a lot of things that have been happening around our lives that are outside of our control that contribute. And, you know, whether you believe in chemtrails or not, they do spray us with chemicals in the sky. Whether it's being released purposely or not, whether you want to get in that conspiracy, I'm not here to argue. These chemicals land on our world, on our environment. And if there is chemicals that are highly flammable, then that's going to take everything up very quickly on top of it. And that's just another kind of side note to observe from, right? So these type of things can easily be stopped. They can be, we can choose as a society to stop and find ways that these things don't have to happen. That's just an example, right? So we are the observers. This year, depending on your perspective and how you want to see it, is going to be whether you're going to see this year as fun or whether you're going to see it this year as any other perspective, right? You know, sometimes we can't see the forest from the trees. Feelings can get all jumbled up, and often you can hear one thing when a person says another. It can be like an echo of unresolved past experiences dubbed over your conversation. So this is about also advising us to take out time before we react. It's like the other person has no idea how his or her words affect you. So this could be like the life. The life doesn't know necessarily how it's going to affect you. So it's going to be that you have to take your faith of connection and trust and choose to see this the way you want to see it. And if you want to see this year as being fun, it is definitely going to be a fun year of a lot of disclosure, a lot of truth. If that's not your perspective and where you're seeing it from, you may want to review and observe how you're feeling about the things that are happening this year. And, you know, if we look at how much has already happened and we're only on the 11th of January, there's, you know, we're not even halfway through this year. And I doubt it's going to slow down compared to many other years. I think back to 2019, you know, we would be bored at this point based on how things happened and how slow they were in like 2019, right? So again, that's a perspective and an observation change. So it's really talking, you will find things much improved the sooner you decide to change the perspective. So Lulu Pie, I'd say, if you're going to decide that this year is going to be fun, your perspective will be that it's going to be fun. So it's going to be based on each person. I think this is going to be a great year. I do. I know it's going to be a great year based on my perspective of it. And that, you know, I've been waiting for a lot of things to come out in the open and be truthful. And I find it becoming more and more transparent. And, you know, it's exciting. It is exciting. Whether I necessarily always see it fun, I don't know. Because sometimes it's But again, that's a perspective that I have, right? I'm a little annoyed that this year is like that. And let's see if there's some follow-up on that. Like, if some more advice on the perspective of this year being fun. Can we get a follow-up part of the message here? Let's see. Chaos and conflict. Well, there you go. That seems quite appropriate to what I was talking about. So if your perspective is chaos and conflict is fun, you're definitely going to have some fun here this year. And it's interesting because this message of the chaos and conflict really comes down to, you know, that is how the world kind of works itself out. Is sometimes we have to have chaos and conflict to come back into that peace and back into that balance. So really it's talking about this year being about disarray, cross purposes with another, the tension of opposites, and the value of chaos over order. So there is, as I was mentioning, there is a lot of value to be had going through chaos and some conflict, because that really will assist us in seeing and perspective. Because when we see that chaos, we start to go through that process, we start to feel it out, we start to become more of the observer of it. It can change our perspective, and through that chaos and conflict we can really grow. And I feel like that is definitely part of what this year is about us growing through the chaos and the conflict, which again, if you find that fun, awesome. Most will struggle because we are creatures of, you know, staying in our comfort zones, staying in our comfort zones, staying in what we know, right? And what's interesting is when we talk about that, like, the only thing you can guarantee in life is that there's going to be change. Maybe not always chaos and conflict, but there is always going to be change. That is the one thing that will always happen in this life. So, you know, it's interesting because, you know, it's all going to be based on your perspective. There's going to be a lot of chaos and conflict, and the value of this chaos, what it talks about here is that, you know, you may find yourself at a cross purposes with someone else or a situation. Facing a storm may feel like you can't control it. Yet every storm passes, and the chaos leads to a reordering of things. So, you know, conflict provides a way for us to see more than one side of a situation. And it's time for us to look beyond just that moment in time. And, you know, and that time where you might need to take shelter, step away from the fray, and don't be too eager to fight. This is a time to understand rather than be understood. So that is the value of going through all of this, is that it's going to really help us level up. You know, it's going to help us get a new order. And not the new world order, but a new order of how things are to be done. So if we go back to what I pulled about the fires, you know, just asking that question, that chaos is going to bring us to a whole new understanding where we all as a civilization are going to be like, we don't want this. We don't. I'm sure the majority of real humans do not want this, right? And so we're going to be insisting that there is some change. And that's going to have to come because we're going to see chaos happen so we can go through this reorganization in this realm. So we can change it to be much more in line with the divine. And that's my personal opinion, that one. And thank you, Lulu Pie. I'm glad you love the videos. My intention is always to help, heal, and serve, and give some insight. It's interesting because I always talk a lot about how I feel about things. I think that's my superpower, is my intuitive feelings. So when I pull cards, it's always very much about how I feel. But let's get an overall feeling of the 2024 and it being fun, that it's obviously going to be a perspective, that there's going to be some chaos that is going to help reshuffle things to make a new reordering of things. And what will be the outcome? You know, my personal opinion, it's going to be much more positive and much more spiritually aligned for humanity. But let's find out. Let's find out what do the guides say? What will be the outcome of the reordering of the chaos? The Fates. Oh, that's one of my favorite cards. That came up a lot during my Astrological Oracle card readings. So if you haven't checked those out, I do have a playlist. It's in my description here on this video, and it's also found on mupo.com under Divine Wisdom Unveiled Season 2. I pulled the 3, 6, 9, 12, and an overall view for each astrological sign. And the fates came up a whole lot for 2025. So it was all, I was reviewing for each of the horoscopes for 2025. The fates, clearly that's the divine. The fates, the divine has got our back through this process. So out of this chaos and conflict, we're going to come to a very, very prosperous time. I feel like that is definitely what this really stands for. You know, it's a lot of it's the fate, obviously, karma, accepting that things that we cannot change and knowing what those things are. So this does also really overlap with the wisdom prayer, if you've ever heard that. And it's, what is it here? Let me see. I think it's on this. It is, you know, it's that you can, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that's us leveling up here, is that there are things outside of our control. Because again, here, what we can control in this is we can control our perspective. We are the observers. We can decide how we want to see this year. Being fun, that might be our personal, that is what we can actually control. The chaos and conflict, that's outside of our control. Things are going to happen. But again, how we see it is what we can, again, control. And the fates are telling us that, you know, there's going to be a lot of things that we need to trust, that the divine has our back, that humanity is leveling up, and that through the chaos and control, the fates have got our back, and that, you know, can we accept the mystery of what is at work here, the events that happen and the current circumstances that they are going to teach us? Can we accept them? The fates are giving us this opportunity to accept those things so we can choose to go forward, change them, accept them, find that connection to the divine, and choose to, as a humanity, go forward in a new order that is supporting us, right? So I find that is like, just what a beautiful ending of that is, that, you know, is this year going to be fun? It's going to be based on your perspective. There's going to be some chaos and conflict, there's already a lot of it, probably a lot more of it. There's going to be a new reordering, and we need to really trust the fates, because we won't be able to necessarily control the whole reordering. We are a participant in this reality. However, things that will happen to us may be completely out of our control, right? What we can, for sure, is how we see the situation and where we put our energy. Are we going to put our energy into being negative, pushing back, you know, scared and fearful? And that is actually really a choice. So this is also to empower you that, you know, there is no fear to be had here. It is, especially when you trust that the divine has got your back. You know, when you align with the fates, being mindful of what you can and cannot change, serenity will come to you. You're going to be peaceful. You're going to be happy. You're going to know that these things came from that divine timing, and that it's got your back, right? The divine has got our back. It's got humanity's back, and we need to remember that and reconnect with that. What a great, there you go. That was your simple question of, will 2025 be fun? Well, it'll be based on you. But the guides have got our backs. So if you want it to be fun, it's going to be that perspective, and it's going to end up being really great for us as a whole. Again, you know, how much you decide to go through this with that attitude of gratitude, fun, and being open to the divine is going to be up to your own perspective, right? So it's going to be your perspective whether you want to suffer through the chaos and the reshuffling of the order, especially if you're very attached to how things have been. You know, if you really trust a lot of these systems that have been proving very, especially recently, that they're not very trustworthy, that's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to move through it if you're trusting the system that, you know, unfortunately, I don't think most of these systems are very trustworthy. You know, we have more of a sick care than a health care. My mom doesn't work anymore, worked for the health care system in Canada and was once told straight up by a nurse that their purpose was not to heal people, it was to maintain the status quo. So if you really, really digest that, they're not there to make you better, healed, and go on and live a longer life. They want you to be on pharmaceuticals and on things that, you know, when I'm here in the States, I listen to those drug commercials, and some of the side effects to these drugs are worse than the actual problem that you would be taking the drug for, right? Like eczema, side effect death. Well, that seems a little extreme for having some eczema, right? So it's going to be an interesting time, and it's going to be fun depending on your perspective of that. Let's see. Let's pull another message. If anybody else has got message, please put those in the chat. I would love to answer some more questions for anybody. Let's see. Now, if you're from Canada, because I know there's a few people from Canada, let's do a quick poll on, not to get too political, but will Justin Trudeau actually ever resign? If you've been following that, that is a confusing thing if there's ever been one. He says that he's going to resign when there's a new leader. And there's a lot of weird stuff, again, with that. A lot of weird corruption on the Liberal Party on how they even vote for their leadership. If you are not from Canada, to summarize that up, you join the Liberal Party. You don't have to pay to be a Liberal. You can be as young as 14, and you do not have to be a citizen of Canada to vote who will run the party. Nothing at all like that is suspicious. Not at all. So, anyways, on that sarcasm, let's find out what is going to be the outcome of Trudeau's resignation. Because it is really strange that he has not just like let himself go and be like, I just resign, and let Canadians move on and go through that process. There's a lot of, again, concerns about more chaos happening with him kind of being in this part where he's prorogued our government, which means our government will not be in session again until pretty much April. And so we don't have a government in session until April. He literally is still in power, but there's no oversight by any government or any of our parliament. We call them the parliament in Canada. So what will be the outcome? I guess let's pull one card. What is going to be that outcome of the resignation? Let's see what the guides have to say. What wisdom the guides have from the wisdom of oracle cards here. Message in a bottle. Interesting. So with this one, clearly it's like that, getting that message. Are we hearing that message? So I feel like this is like right off the bat, me and my feelings here. I feel like that is really telling us that there is a message that we're maybe not necessarily really seeing, that it's there, it's being given to us, but are we really hearing and seeing it? This is about communication, a sign. This is pointing our way to the highest good. So I feel like what he's doing is trying to make it very apparent to how things are not necessarily in alignment, right? Like the message is becoming more apparent to especially Canadians, but I feel like this is all over the world, that there's a lot of corruption happening, right? And this is the message, is to be more and more apparent through this chaos that this is a sign. This is a sign that there's a message for us to hear. Are we hearing it, right? This also talks about a Cledon, which is the ancient name for a spontaneous oracle delivery innocently by the speaker. So the speaker, which would be the prime minister, is that he's, giving us and pointing our way to what is happening. And I feel like right off the bat, him again crowning himself that no one can oversee, he's not really letting go, is kind of becoming apparent that he's giving us this message, and it's up to people to hear the message appropriately. So that's really interesting, because it's going to be up to people to decide if they're going to hear what he's actually saying. Because it was very interesting to see how many people were just so happy. Oh, he's resigned. Oh, he's resigned. Well, that wasn't his message. The message, he clearly was not and has not resigned. So it's kind of like he's giving us this and pointing us to this direction of this message, and it's going to be up to each of us to hear what he's actually really telling us. He got the approval to prorogue the government, which is literally cancel the government, that nothing's going to happen till March. There are people now going through the process to go through courts to force him or force the governor general, because it's very strange in Canada how the government works. We have the prime minister, but he's actually not the most powerful. We have a governor general, which is more powerful, but however, the governor general position is not voted in. It is the prime minister puts somebody in that position, literally grants them this royal governor general position, and they would be essentially the equivalent to the crown. And this is like, when you start breaking it down, none of it seems very democratic, I'm going to say, because I don't believe it is democratic. That's my personal opinion. And it's very interesting because she said, yeah, we can prorogue. We're not going to say no to the person that crowned her in this position of power, because there's no reason he should be able to do that. If they are struggling in their group, the liberal, they should just have an election. And it's such a weird, it's a cluster F, let's call it that. But the message is clear. Like, if you have the ears to hear, you can clearly hear his message. He's not going down willingly. He's not resigning willingly. He has not resigned, and he is doing more disservice to the Canadian people by not allowing our government to go into session. And I feel like that is more the truth of that message. Spirit tends to send you signs when you ask for them, and he's sending us signs. That he is sending signs through what he's saying. But it's going to be, again, kind of going back to that thing of, is 2025 going to be fun? It's going to be your perspective. Can you hear and see what is clearly happening in front of you? When you believe, you will receive them. That is also part of that message. Let's see if we can get a little bit more until somebody sends me another question they want some answers to. Let's see. Let's get some more clarity on the Trudeau regime here. I'm going to call it a regime because I feel like we are under some dictatorship. It's really been difficult. There's been so many people and so much energy to get rid of him, and he's just not going down easily. Even in his resignation is not a resignation. He's holding on for dear life. I'm going to say that. Well, let's get a little bit of clarity on that. Loyal heart. Interesting. So we got that message. The message, is being told. We've got that message coming to us. And then the loyal heart. Maybe this is also part, I feel like right off the bat, is like, who's translating, do you have the loyal heart to translate this message and hear it clearly? That's kind of what I feel is a little bit related to this. I have never actually pulled this card. This one is loyalty and devotion. So who are you loyal to, and where does your devotion go? Evidence of loyalty will appear in your life. Others will prove that they're faithful to you, and you will in turn commit fully. There is also a sure to abiding certainty with your heart. Know that Spirit is always loyal to you. So Spirit's got our back, whether in Canada, Spirit's got our back, and it's going to be loyal to us. But I think this is interesting as well, is that, others will prove if they're faithful and if they're willing to commit. And I think that's what the loyalty here is. Who does Trudeau have loyalty to? Because he clearly does not have loyalty to Canadians. And I think that that's kind of giving that question of, who is he loyal to? That is the bigger question. And it's not the people of Canada, because what the people of Canada want is not what's happening. The majority do not want him there. That's why they were celebrating the message that, I've resigned, but he hadn't really resigned, right? And he has not. He's still I'm going to say it the way I like to say it, the crime minister. And who is he loyal to? And and if you want loyalty to your fellow people, whether it's Canada, US, fellow humans on this earth, who are these government officials loyal to? Because the governor general, as I mentioned, is not loyal to the Canadians either. Her loyalty is to the prime minister and doesn't actually care about the other people. So I think this is going to bring up a lot of who are these people loyal to? Who do they actually give their energy to? Who are they aligned with? And when you start to look at it, if you're looking at it truthfully, because again, that's that observation card for 2025. If you are seeing clearly from a clear perspective, you're going to see that the ties of who the loyalty is definitely foreign entities and especially the Canadian government. Foreign entities is where the loyalty lies. World Economic Forum, China. We still don't even know, this is a really gets me that people kind of forget, is we've had so many scandals in Canada that we have had this foreign interference scandal. So what it is there's a list of parliamentarians, these are people in our government that are tied to foreign interference, taking money, being bribed by outside energies. So those are who the loyalty is to. We as Canadians are not privy to know. Because what's happened is this list, the officials for the different parties can only see if they sign a non-disclosure agreement, meaning that they cannot talk about it, they can't do anything about it, and once they know who these people are, they can't do anything about it, or they go to jail. Because that seems like, democracy. So this is going to be interesting to see if Canadians will really wake up to where the loyalty stands. Who are these people loyal to? They're clearly not loyal to you. They're not telling you who is working for foreign entities. You're going to have to see this message yourself and truly open your perspective to know what is happening with it. So I think this is quite appropriately, we are divinely guided. Fates have got our back. And it's going to come down to really feeling and knowing and upping our intuition that we're not being bamboozled by, I'm saying that I've resigned, but he hasn't resigned. The Governor General, who is this lady? It is a woman that is the Governor General. Who is she actually loyal to? Because she's clearly not loyal to the Canadians. Is she actually loyal to the Crown? And then if she's loyal to the Crown, well, as the Crown is not loyal to the Canadian, peasants, I'm going to say, unfortunately, that's the nicest way I can say that. So that's an interesting, I'm sure I can go down even more of it. Let's just pull one. I'll pull the top. What is the outcome? Unfinished symphony. Interesting. So if I just pull right from that, and it's unfinished symphony is, I don't know if we're going to get a full, if this is ever going to kind of end the way we think, Unfinished business, an incomplete lesson, lack of closures, and needs to be amended. So are we just going to keep going through this point that we're not going to really have a leader? We're kind of having a leader, it is time that we get rid of these loose ends. But it also talks about radical acceptance. So are we just going to have to accept that how this system is it's not loyal to the Canadians? He's not resigning, and it's just not going to be finished the way we necessarily want it to be finished. I don't know. It's talks about, taking closure of the answers we seek, and we can't move forward if we're leaving things unfinished. So, and that's true, because right now we are not going anywhere fast right now because it's not finished. He is not resigned. We don't have, our government has been shut down. We're in this transition of things not being finished and not being able to move forward or backwards or go anywhere really, because we're kind of stuck in this unfinished business. So that's going to be interesting. Let me shuffle and see, will we get this unfinished business done? That is the question I would like to know. Will we become, will this get closure? Will, my personal opinion, I'd like to see jail time for many of our parliamentarians. I don't know if I ever will. I don't think so. Because it's, you are not allowed to do any crimes, but if you're a government official, well, that's okay. As I laugh. Okay, let's see. What is going to be the outcome? Will we will we get to this unfinished symphony in 2025? Because that is going to be the interesting outcome. Like, or is everything going to completely change? Are we going to become the 51st state? There you go. Let's just put that out there, right? Because that's been an interesting concept and conversation happening on the side as well. So what is the full outcome of this? Truth be told, we brought back that truth card from the beginning. I can't even make this up. You saw me shuffling them. That is interesting. The truth is going to come out, which is this symphony may not ever actually be finished, but there's going to be truth which will change everything. So maybe like through this process, maybe we are going to be more in alignment with the US. Whether we're actually a state or not may not actually happen that way. But it's going to be a very interesting thing because the truth is going to come out that, you know, he did not resign. He has not resigned. It's corrupt, the whole process of how they're even going to get a new leader for the Liberal parties. And they're not loyal to us. There's a lot of this unfinished symphony, which I think is the huge amount of list of corruption and scandals our government has had. It is insane the amount of, I could go on for hours with the list of corruption. And these are not finished. None of them are finished. We've never gotten closure on any of these corrupt scandals that are prime minister is related to. And what's going to be the outcome is the truth. We're going to learn the truth. We're going to learn how bad it is. And this may not be worth fixing. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I think it might be fun because that's going to be my observation. It's going to be fun to see it kind of go through this transition because the truth really does need to come out with that type of stuff. Oh, it just leads me to a bigger, wider hole as we go down further and further. Very interesting. Very interesting. So I'll put it out again. I'll stay on for a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions that they'd like me to answer, I'd love to answer any, you know, personal or overall feelings, questions you have, get some guidance, see what the divine guides have for us. Because I'd be happy to. If you would like your own personal private reading, the information is in the description box. You can go and book with me, and I would do this one-on-one, and we can go really deep into clarity if that is something you're interested in. And again, I would highly recommend that you check out my 2025 Astrological Oracle predictions. Oh, well, thank you, Mind Mystic. I'm glad I've answered your questions. That's awesome. Let's pull in the end. Let's do one final pull then. If no one has any questions, forever hold your peace. How, for everybody that is here, for all of you here watching it, whether you're watching it live with me now or in the future, what message do the divine guides have for those that are here listening to these messages? Let's see. Let's pull that for all of you being here today, which I appreciate. And thank you, my friends, for being here and being part of this. Okay, what is the end? What is the divine message for all of those here during the live, after the live? A change is in the wind. That's, again, pulled that many times for the beginning of 2025 for many of the astrological signs. This was one of the kind of messages that kept coming up. A change is in the wind. We're going through change. You're going through change. We all are going through change. And this change, again, this is like that knowing of when we can control the things and the things that we can't control. So that wisdom prayer, like I brought up earlier, is, you know, knowing those things that we have the ability to control and the things that we can't. And the change that's coming is outside of our control. It is divinely guided. It is going to happen. It's a sense of unseen change that has been initiated, and we're going forward with it. Preparations for a storm, because again, we did pull up that chaos and the chaos one, right? So there's going to be a lot of things that are unexpected. Awareness that your plans are not on firm ground. So some of the things that you may think or be planning may not be stable this year, or for sure this first little bit. Feeling a shift, uncertainty about the directions the wind will blow. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty for everybody, even for sure for all of you here. there's a change. It's coming amongst us, and we need to be able to flow with the wind and have that adaptability that, if our plans aren't going to go exactly how we want them to, we've got to be flexible and, again, go into that trust. This year is very much a spiritual evolutional year. And so grab on, float with the wind, be as flexible as you can be, and find that perspective. Because again, if this year is going to be fun, it's going to be based on your perspective. So that perspective is going to be important as we go through all of these changes, all these unforeseen shifts in our plans, and maybe this reality as well. And that we're going to have to be as adaptable and as trusting in the divine guides, God, consciousness, our angels, whatever we resonate with, they've got our back. They do have our back. And it is up to us to be prepared. This change is going to keep happening, and trust it is for the best and for us to grow from. Because really, as I said, like, change is the only consistent that we do actually have in this reality. Everything else, things never stay the same. And it's human nature to yearn for certainty and to resist change, to want the world to remain constant like the stripes of a zebra. Yet nothing in our experience is black and white, nor anything will remain static. So the one thing we can guarantee is change. I've already said that a few times, so I find that's quite appropriate that comes up again. Now is the time to transform our outer conditions, that they're temporarily moving out of sync with maybe our desires and expectations. However, we are being guided to stay focused on what we want. Stay the course, and remember, even the storm serves to clear the air, scatter seeds, and nourish the soil for better things ahead. So just like that chaos, and then finding that, out of chaos, we're going to get a new reorganization. So it's stay steady, stay in that, your groundedness, go out, get grounded, even if it's snowy, go get barefoot if you can, get in the soil, touch the ground, touch the snow. Anticipate with curiosity. Life is about to get interesting. The unknown is where the magic lies. So I encourage you to avoid resisting all these things that we cannot change, and find that internal strength to be adaptable and flow with this wind of change, especially as we're going through this year, because there is a lot of magic. And like we pulled, the fates have got your back, the divine has got your back, good things are coming from it. You've got to trust and be very adaptable. So I'm going to leave it there. Unless anybody's got any other questions, I think that's a wonderful kind of final roundup of the message for today. I enjoyed this immensely. I thank you so much for tuning in. And I think I'll do this again. You can come in and join me, ask me some questions, and I'll pull some intuitive messages and see what our guides have for us. And thank you so much, all my friends, for joining me. I really hope some of this message will assist you. And if you are looking, like I said, for your own personal reading, check the description box. It links to my website. You can book your own personalized reading one-on-one with me, or go and check out my videos with your Astrological Oracle card readings for 2025, your sun and your rising sign specifically. You can also do the moon, but I was mainly focusing on the sun and rising signs. And that'll help assist, because a lot of the stuff that I pulled up came up in these messages for this year for the astrological predictions. I love cards. So I hope you have a great day and enjoy your weekend. And we will be in tune or back in contact again soon. I will go live again tomorrow morning for some seated chair yoga. I love offering some stretches, some guidance. So tune in for that. And until next time, have a beautiful day. And what I always like to finish up with is namaste, which means the light within me acknowledges and sees the light within you. Thank you for joining me.